and welcome to the Journey to CEO Success podcast. I'm your co host, Melissa Saunders, along with Patrick Thean, entrepreneur, CEO coach, and a USA Today and Wall Street Journal best-selling author. His latest book, The Journey to CEO Success, is the inspiration for this show. Hey, Patrick.
Hi, Melissa.
Good to see you today.
Yeah, it's a good day for our podcast.
It is. And today's guest is Charlie Malouf, the president and CEO of Broad River Retail, a licensed Ashley furniture reseller. After taking over as CEO in 2015, he is credited with turning the company around from a near bankruptcy state. He did this not by cutting costs and reducing headcount, but instead taking a people centric approach, investing more in his people by creating a clear career path, incentives, and elevated titles for his sales associates. What a great story. Can't wait to hear it. Hi, Charlie.
Hello, Melissa. Hey, Patrick. Good to see you guys.
Welcome to our show, man. Welcome to our show. So, hey, let's begin by you just taking a couple of minutes and tell us about your company first.
Sure. Broad River Retail, we are a licensee of 33, soon to be 34 Ashley stores throughout the Southeast, really the Carolinas and Georgia. We've got a little bit over 800 memory makers. We don't say employees or team members or constituents or coworkers. We say memory makers because our purpose is furnishing life's best memories. And that's really for others. It starts with our own fellow associates, memory makers, and then for our guests that we get the privilege to serve, and for our neighbors in our community, and for our families of our memory makers. But memory maker really helps us reinforce the purpose of why we exist as an organization. And we operate Ashley stores. Our vision is to be the premier Ashley operator. And so we're now working on opening in the Northwest in the Spokane, Washington market, getting a little bit closer to where you are in Seattle. And we're looking at, non-adjacent growth avenues for the company. So we've got a vision to grow where we want to get to by 2030. We're a purpose-driven organization that's fueled to win the AFL every year. What is the AFL? It's something that we made up. It's called the Ashley Furniture League. Like the NFL has their Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We want to just pursue excellence day in and day out.
So tell me about the AFL thing again. Ashley Furniture. You created that, you said. So that's only within your firm?
It takes an understanding of Ashley. So
yes.
Ashley Furniture is the largest manufacturer of furniture that's ever existed in the history of the world. They're not the 800-pound gorilla. They're really the 8,000-pound gorilla.
8,000
And they started this home store concept over 20 years ago. And it started as Ashley Furniture Home Store. And then, after many years, it became Ashley Home Store. And now we're just known as Ashley Store through reinventions and rebranding. But throughout the United States, there's 1,100 plus, maybe 1,200 Ashley stores throughout the globe. And in North America, there's about 700, maybe 750 Ashley stores in North America. And within that, about 140 unique individual owner operators like me, and then there's maybe a third of them are corporately held and owned. And so we're like just kind of standing on the shoulders of giants. We're competing with our fellow brethren in other geographies around the country, to be the preeminent Ashley store. The way we like to think about it is that Ashley, at this point in stage, doesn't have to convince people to open up markets under the banner of Ashley store. They can, it's a privilege to be a partner with Ashley where they are as an organization. And so we want to just kind of pay that back, pay it forward. So, we created this quasi competition. If you look at the etymology of words, and if you study the etymology of the word competition, a lot of people think it gets a bad rap, but I like to say, no, the etymology of the word means to strive together. It was never about beating the other person. It was about striving alongside each other. And this federation of Ashley licensees, we're always trading best practices. We're always sharing results. We're cheering each other on, but also competing with each other. So it's really astute of you to kind of tease out, like, what is this AFL thing? It doesn't exist. We just made it up to peg to our vision to be the premier Ashley store operator.
Yeah. So, this podcast is all about helping CEOs achieve more joy and success. And I find that lots of folks, unfortunately, achieve success but sacrifice joy. And at the end of the day, very few people go to the grave wishing they had one more day of work. Most people go to the grave thankful for the people around them and for the memories they've created. So that's what this podcast is about. So I love that you guys, you call your employees memory makers, and I would love to understand your journey a little bit more. So you took over this company at a time when it was in a difficult time. Why did you do that? And help me connect that to your own personal life purpose, and why did you do that?
Sure. Well, I was part of the company. Yeah, I've been with the company for a little bit over 20 years. May 1st, 2005. I joined when we opened store number 3. It's so funny because now, like, people who've been with us for 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, they always talk about the number of stores that we had when they joined to where we are now. And I was like, people, I don't know why everyone does that. It's just a way to anchor when they started. And I was like, you know what? I'd do the same thing because I started when we opened store number 3. But I joined 2 co-founders who were the 50-50 partners, and I bought in as the managing partner and COO. A couple of years into my journey, one of the co-founders wanted to exit, and so we bought him out. And so one of the original co-founders and I ran the company for the next several years until he kind of wanted to step into an executive chairman role. And so he asked me to step from the COO role to the president and CEO role in 2015. Now, 2015 was a very pivotal, crucible moment type of year for us. I like to say in the first 6 months, we broke all of our bones. We nearly died. We were on the verge of bankruptcy, and it was the best thing to ever happen to us. So why did that happen? Primarily it was an ERP conversion that went awry, and then there were other factors. We were building our new corporate campus and distribution center. We were operating in 3 disparate locations for corporate offices and warehousing and call center. We had completed an acquisition, but primarily it was the wheels came off the bus during the ERP conversion that went awry and
Wow.
nearly put us on the brink of death. And my first 11 months as president and CEO were really like waking up with a gun to my head every single day, and the banks could have pulled the trigger. We got thrown into special assets with. You look at the likelihood of surviving when you're in special assets as a furniture retail company, it's heavily weighted against you. So all this, we were going to be sold for pennies on the dollar what I invested in 10 years prior and bought in, and we just kind of rallied together and said, no, that's not going to happen, and we're going to go down swinging. We bandied together. We collectively we changed the people, and we changed our leadership team and changed our way of doing business, and we tested a lot of new things, and some of them worked, some of them didn't, but we threw a lot of stuff at the wall and saw what stuck. But we started
Help me understand this, because you started by saying it was because of the ERP conversion that went bad or went difficult. And I've been through a lot of ERP conversions with my different customers. They're all very difficult, but I've seldom heard of one which almost destroyed a company. So why? And why did that lead to having to change your team and change your people?
The full story might have to bring me back for part 2. Let me try to get it into broad brushstrokes.
Yeah.
The ERP trued up our customer deposits. At the time, we were reporting $1 million customer deposits, and we had a balkanized approach, like with our original bulk ERP system, some web-based modules that plugged in, and then using QuickBooks accounting, really, for a $100 million plus company at that time. And we had a deal with our bank at the time that we got dollar for dollar deduction on our revolver for every dollar of customer deposits. And when we were reporting it as $1 million, it's no big deal, although they really wouldn't cancel. And then when the ERP trued them up, it was over 3 million. So that created a margin call, but also our ordering got backwards. We couldn't EDI correctly. We were ordering, we were canceling what we needed and not ordering what we didn't need. So our inventory got bloated. Also, our inventory accuracy was awful or broken promises, telling a guest what we're going to bring them, when we were going to bring them was in the 30-40%, inventory accuracy below 70%, failing. And then, when things are going to, and then, so your best people are leaving because they're getting paid on delivered sales. They're getting beat up in the retail stores.
Yeah.
Sales are getting canceled, and it just starts kind of snowballing really fast. And it's really, we lost, and we couldn't produce financial statements for the first 7 months of the year. And when we did, the numbers were really, really nasty and nearly wiped us out. So that would be the broad brushstrokes.
Yeah, thank you. First, thank you so much for sharing that. And so, how did you manage through all that and come out the other side with and your attitude's awesome. Attitude's awesome. And I think how you wake up in the morning, how you approach your employees was probably not just you, but the team around you probably made the difference, right?
Yeah, 100%. Well, I had to control what I could control. And I had to look at myself in the mirror and say, today, what they need to see from me is not fear, but a smile on my face. I can control how I show up. And then, I used to get into this debate where someone said to me, Charlie, you're not being logical. We need to, go sell off these assets before it goes away completely. Hope is not a strategy. And I said, hope isn't, but faith is. And so it was a faith story. I truly felt like God put his divine hand on the business and protected us. I started seeing a scripture verse, Jeremiah 29:11, show up everywhere before I took on the role. And I didn't know why, but I would just kind of get overcome. And so I showed up and just kind of, it was like the Stockdale paradox, if you know that story with Jim Stockdale. And like, but I just felt like I had the 10,000 hours invested in it. Like I felt like I knew why the wheels came off the bus, and I knew that we could solve it, but we just needed time, and we needed time to execute the play. And we did. We did from the base of the mountain. We changed what we needed to change. But the way I showed up was just I knew that it was going to require a lot of passion and fortitude and prayer and faith during that season. And it was a beautiful season. It was a season of just creative reinvention and not being bound by, sometimes you don't change things because it's like, well, this is what's been successful. And I would say prior to that, 2014 prior, we were a pretty good company. We'd gotten several awards and grown and gotten accolades. And this was just a seismic event. And I didn't let it form our identity that we were just a horrible company. I thought that this was an isolated, quarantined event that wouldn't define us. But also what it did, it freed us up to change a lot of things, processes, and just kind of reinvent and say, hey, if we were going to build from the bottom, from the base, starting over, how would we what mousetrap would we build? How would we set things in motion?
You really viewed it as an opportunity to reinvent the company.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. And you actually referred to this earlier as a really good thing for the company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Best thing that ever happened to us. Yeah. I truly believe we would not have achieved the level of success that we have achieved had we not gone through it. And then I further believe that that had to happen to us to give us an anchoring perspective to appreciate who we are, where we are, and what we've gotten to, and the journey that took place. So there's one of my favorite authors, Mark Batterson, just wrote a book called Suddenly Then Gradually. Now that quote is attributed to Ernest Hemingway, who was asked, hey, how did in a book he wrote about how did companies go bankrupt? Two ways, gradually, then suddenly. So sorry, the book title is Gradually, Then Suddenly. If I said it backwards, my apologies. But that was the book just released earlier this month. But that's also the way companies become overnight successes. If you think of the metaphor for bamboo and the overnight success, 20 years in the making. Well, that overnight success, a lot of times there's foundational growth in your characters building and your processes are building beneath the surface where people can't see it, but it's preparing you mentally to be able to accept and receive the success and to really grow quickly from that.
Something popped in my head just now when we were talking. I was thinking that the Bible talks about rejoice. Well, one of the verses that popped in my head just now was rejoice in the Lord always, and in everything rejoice. I'm wondering how you must have gone through that season, and were you actually able to rejoice in the Lord during that time?
I just felt this resolute, quiet confidence. that we would get through it. And I gave it up. I gave it up to not trying to control it. And
Yes.
it's a beautiful story.
Yes. So much happens outside, but I always share with friends that I think the most important thing is what's between your two ears. So I've been through lots of crises myself, and sometimes for the crises that when I reflect back, what gave me joy in my crises is giving up control, prayer, and understanding that actually the difference between what I see and how I react is really between my two ears. It's all really in my head. I could wake up
100%.
the next morning with total confidence that we get through this,
Mhm.
or wake up the next morning thinking we're just gonna die,
Yeah.
and so much of it just depends on what's between your ears. So again, thank you for sharing. So tell me a little bit about what gives you joy today.
Yeah. Okay. So not personal life, but in the company. Okay. Right now,
And both, by the way, I view us only having one life. In other words, I call this the whole life, right?
mhm.
So I don't think it's possible. Well, it's probably possible. I shouldn't say it's not possible, but I think of joy in the company overflowing to joy at home, and joy at home overflowing to
Yeah.
joy in the company. So it's really a whole life question.
Yeah. Well, let me, I enjoy activities I've got two sons, 15 and almost 13. So 15 and 12, ninth and seventh graders. And I enjoy on the weekends playing football with them, or taking them to, go test drive cars, or
Yeah.
doing family trips together. It won't be long. It'll be in an instant before they're out of the house. And
Yes, it
someone
will.
says that
It will.
while they're,
Yeah.
while your kids are living with you and young, it's going to be 90% of the time that you spend with them. So I'm really trying to invest in just those times and those family memories. And then, I enjoy health and wellness, because I wasn't always well, or had that approach. I was probably too lopsided in my work habits. And so I've been on like a 5-year journey of health and wellness. So working out and eating well, and trying to stay
Why
fit.
5-year journey? You said you're on a 5-year journey. Is it something happened last 5 years, or is this the 5-year beginning of a longer journey of
Well, you
health
asked
and
some
wellness?
good questions. Well, in the pit of COVID, I battled a couple things. Once we, um, well, I had a mental health thing that really hit me pretty hard in July and August of 2015, and then compounded with that, I had some of my health metrics. I was overweight, and then you get other kind of KPIs on like cholesterol and other kind of things, and then you have to kind of take medicine to try to like make them all these numbers go down, and so I really just began saying this has to change. I have to control my habits and my lifestyle and my eating, and so that journey really began in August of 2015, and going through the health and wellness journey really helped on the mental health aspect of it as
Yes.
well. And yeah, so I have a couple I work out every day, and I do 100 miles a week through combination of like biking, Peloton bike, or outdoor road cycling, or running, or walking. Plus I lift weights. And so I have worked out. I got to day 100. I got to day 50. Then I got to day 100 through a different streak. And then once I got to 100, I said, well, let me see if I can't go further. I got to day 1,000. I did some of these things while I had some cardiovascular things, with ablations and atrial
Yeah.
flutter. But I've now, I'm trying to get to day 2,000. I've worked out 1,718 days in a row, minus 22, because I had 3 instances since I hit age 50. But every day I'm trying to win the day
You
one day at a
don't take
time.
a
And
rest day in your workout routine. You don't take a rest day. No
I
rest
don't, I
days.
don't, I don't, I
Oh,
don't.
okay.
Work out every day. I
Okay.
try to win the day. Make each day its own masterpiece. Win the day. And I'm not saying it's for everyone, Patrick. It's just
Yes.
better for me to kind of do something every day, as opposed to like letting myself have a rest day. It's just something that I do. Maybe I'll stop and change it up once I get to 2,000. I tried to get to 1,000. I just kept it going. But I've overcome a lot of other physical ailments and issues along the way too, and that's probably for another podcast. But so it started 5 years ago, and I just tried to get serious and more disciplined about it.
Well, congratulations. Congratulations. I mean, too many. So again, right, this podcast is about helping people with joy and success at the same time, both.
Yeah,
And
and
I
and
think,
and,
I
and,
think
and I If I can cut
Yeah.
you off for a second, I didn't really fully answer your question. On the company side, yeah, I like looking at growth opportunities. I like seeing our team achieve their goals. I like setting goals and for our team to win. I'm wearing a Be a Light shirt. We just launched the Lighthouse Fund, which is a crisis assistance fund for our memory makers. And so we seeded it, we funded it. We also let our people join us if they feel so inclined to donate to it. We followed a couple models that were out there, and so that now exists, and we have other plans with that. So I can give you the whole kind of launch and logo and everything for the Lighthouse Fund, but and how that works. But it's working. It's working well. We launched that this past July, and so I love furnishing life's best memories for our people, for our memory makers, and what the company's able to do for our people. And we're on this goal now to grow, to double our company's revenues in 6 years. And so by the rule of 72, that's going to require 12% compounded annual growth rate to get there by 2030. And so we're on a mission. We're locked in and we're focused.
And we're striving forward and helping each other within the company and externally as well.
100%.
I love your view of thank you so much. I love your view of competition, and I love how you help me think about competition a little bit differently, right? Not competing against each other, but striving forward together.
Yeah.
So,
well, it comes from a spirit of mutual prosperity and a spirit of abundance, right? And so sometimes we can operate from a spirit of fear or spirit of scarcity and or a zero-sum game, and in reality that's not how life is, right? Things are growing and moving forward all the time, and the law of reciprocity sometimes will come back to you. So have tried to worry a lot less about scarcity, and there's enough for everyone to win and thrive.
Yeah, you're hitting on a lot of key themes that will help people have a lot more joy and success. I think that I'm 61, and I think when I started my career, years and decades ago, I hate to say decades ago now, I think the world was a lot more, especially in the software world, competition was very fierce, and people had a different view of competition. It was like for me to win, you had to lose, kind of a thing. But today, I think we've learned more about the abundance mentality. And I've seen how that has helped me tremendously. I had to rewire myself actually to rethink about competition, because I used to have the mindset that, for me to win, you have to lose. Zero-sum game, you just said. And I've over the years, like I've had to rewire my mind to think that it's actually an abundance world. And once I started thinking that way, I saw more opportunities everywhere. And I spend less time on my competition, worrying about what they're going to do, more time really helping my customers achieve what they want to achieve, and it's helped me.
In our industry, we've taken a lot of best practices from other industries and infuse them into this kind of traditional industry and retail home furnishings. And this industry can kind of become very set in its ways, and you can, and everyone can kind of benchmark. Well, you can take a pie chart and say, well, your occupancy cost should be this, your selling expenses should be this. And one of the things we did in 2015 was we took a human capital mindset and approach versus a human resources. So a human resources mindset would say you need to minimize your labor expense, you need to minimize your people. A human capital mindset would say you need to grow your people, you need to invest in your people and create career pathing for all aspects, every nook and cranny of your people. So we transformed a tired commission salesperson from RSA, retail sales associate, and we created career pathing, home furnishings associate, which you can then graduate to home furnishings consultant, home furnishings professional, home furnishings expert, and career pathing all the way through into store management and regional management and multi-unit management. But our selling expenses relative to our industry peers would be 100 to 200 basis points higher as a percentage. And we're okay with that because we understand what they contribute. By the way, our financial success over that same track record would be far and away best in class. So the more that we've paid our people and the more bonuses and commissions and exciting programs, the better our company has performed. And that's something that gives me a lot of joy. And because it's very lonely to win by yourself. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, as the old African proverb says. And that's something that really resonates, with me. And so we've tried to bring our people along the journey with us, and that's why they stay with us. And that's just going from a belief of mutual prosperity, spirit of abundance, and just really reprogramming, reorienting the perspective of a better path, a better way, instead of looking at it as a minimal. What if this thing was abundance? And so our market share, our market penetration, our profits, everything has grown and expanded as we've had the faith and courage to compensate our people better. That's just one tiny example.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man. Awesome. Awesome. Well, I could talk to you all day, man. I could talk to you all day. However, I got to ask you a last question, which I ask
Okay.
everyone on this podcast. Because remember, this podcast is about helping CEOs have a more joyful and successful life. So, what last piece of advice could you leave with our audience to help them have a more joyful and successful life?
Yeah, well, first of all, I would say it's not about you. And so to me, I would say it's not about me. And I've really been reflecting a lot on this topic of stewardship and legacy. And really it gets down to, I think we're all called to leave it better than we found it. If we all acknowledge that we're standing on the shoulders of giants who've stood before us, or sacrifices who've, we weren't like, especially if you're in the United States and in a free country and democracy, and there's a lot of things that are wrong or can be improved. But man, let's take credit and take stock and take of where we are in this moment in time. And with that, what should our role and responsibility be? Well, don't make it about you and your success, but when you give back to others, you do feel better about yourself. I mean, that's part of being human. And so whether you're, and maybe you learn that more as a parent, as you kind of mature, because I don't think I had this all the way, but from the beginning, but I'm really trying to leave it better than I found it in life. And generally speaking, if we can all leave something better than we found it.
So, Melissa, thank you very much, Charlie. And Melissa, back to you.
Yeah, wow. What a journey, Charlie. I love that you're wearing a shirt, Be a Light. It does seem like you're a light to everyone that you touch. Thank you for coming on today. Our guest, as our guest, and our audience, I'm sure enjoyed it thoroughly. But until next time, go out there, enjoy this journey. Bye now.